We're back.
We're literally back. Imagine just like walking to a room and be like,
they play
guys.
that.
Yeah, it's actually very.
Okay.
Yeah, there's a lot of bass to that.
There is.
Hi guys. So this is our last episode.
Welcome to episode 20. We're wrapping up.
Yeah, it's the last episode in our 20s.
Ever. Oh, wait, what?
I mean...
Foreshadowing. I'm foreshadowing, guys.
You don't have to foreshadow. This is the end of the season. We're at the end of the season.
No, because I said ever.
Probably.
We don't know what's going to happen.
We don't know. You guys are definitely going to see more content from us from previous episodes. So you're just going to be recycled the same fucking thing. But
yeah,
today we have a new topic.
Very new topic. I don't think we've ever talked about this.
No.
We were on drugs when we wrote this. Probably.
Yeah, that's how you get the creative juices flowing, yeah?
Yeah.
Yeah?
Keep the good vibes going, yeah?
Yeah. I'll let you start because...
The title of this episode is tentative, but the topic is deal breakers and boundaries.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Deal breakers and boundaries.
Yeah. So let's ask the first question.
Mm-hmm.
What are your deal breakers in a romantic relationship?
Damn. Guess we're just jumping into it.
Yeah, let's just jump into it.
Okay, yeah, because I don't know how else to properly segue into this kind of topic.
Me neither.
I mean, it's kind of fun to talk about. You know, like, oh, what are your red flags? What are your deal breakers? What are your icks?
Okay,
right?
I'm just gonna say, when you go on a date, none of these questions will be asked.
What do you mean?
No one knows how to date.
No one knows how to date.
So,
agreed.
You're just gonna find out what the red flags are as you go along.
Oh, I see what you mean. Mm-hmm. You have to fuck around and find out.
Yeah,
kind of
and these days, yeah, because no one's gonna ask these questions on dates.
Mm-hmm. And honestly, like, people are so unique nowadays. It's like they can come up with the newest thing, and you've never known about it.
Like, as in deal breakers?
Yeah.
Or red flags?
Both.
Okay.
Yeah. It's like, oh, I didn't know that. I
didn't
want
know that was going to be a red flag.
Yeah, until you brought that up.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so my deal breakers in a romantic relationship, I'm going to think generally because I am in a romantic relationship. Mm-hmm. But also, yeah, I can also think specifically. Deal breakers are... Should I start from, like, most serious?
Go for it.
I mean, if you're too vain, like if you just think of it, it can be kind of, you know, cute to have someone who's very like arrogant and like, oh, they can carry themselves well, but definitely if they think too much about themselves and I'm more of like an accessory in the relationship, no, absolutely not.
I think there's also like a fine line with being confident and being vain.
Yes.
Like, if you reach a little over, you're gonna be vain. Mm-hmm. And if you reach a little over, it's like, oh, he's just confident.
Yeah. And that's hard nowadays because a lot of people are very confident in themselves.
But then behind closed doors, they're very vain.
Yes. And that's a red flag for me because, and I feel like red flags, we have to define. It's like, there are things that there's signs that you see. Sometimes it's very concrete and in your face. Sometimes it's kind of in behind the scenes and you kind of smell it.
Yeah.
But these are things that's like, oh, I'm staying away from that because I know it will hurt me. It won't be good for the relationship or I won't be happy. So yeah, just
deal breakers are more of like, I'm not going to continue this relationship just because like I don't know how else to explain it. The deal is broken.
Yeah. Yeah. Or like, non-negotiables.
Oh,
maybe.
I like non-negotiables.
I'm kind of losing the definition.
Deal breakers is the definition non-negotiable.
Yeah, like, it's a deal breaker. Yeah. You're breaking the deal. This is a business, and you're breaking the deal.
Yeah, we're not gonna break contract for this.
Okay, so what else would break my romantic contract? If you don't respect like my decisions as an individual, it's like that's a deal breaker. It's like I've been learning that in romantic relationships, like we are still two different people with our own.
And you said the magic learn. We're still learning. Yeah. Because a romantic relationship, you're always going to be learning, no matter how like in how many years in you're in.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I hear that about married couples who've been going like 20, 30 years married. And it's like, yeah, there's still like rough patches that they have to go through, and there's a lot of
we have learning to do.
Mm-hmm. And because we're people, like we will always like bump heads, and like we'll always have our own opinions. But if you do stop me from like doing what I want to do, and not something that'll hurt you, of course, but like if it's something that I willingly want to do with my time, whether or not I want to do it with my partner, like I need someone to like allow that, give that room.
Yeah.
And this isn't like in any negative way to like get away from my partner, but really it's like we each have our own dreams and aspirations and goals.
And if you're holding me back, that's a deal breaker.
Yeah, it's like, don't hold me back. You know, like the opposite of like hold me back. It's like
I need someone who doesn't hold me back.
Yeah, don't hold me. Let go.
Exactly.
Yeah. Do you have any like deal breakers like that where it's like very, I guess, serious?
You said serious. What are your silly ones?
I mean, my silly ones are like if you're not comfortable with just like
my toes.
Yeah, if you're not comfortable with my toes, if you're not comfortable with like being weird or like just being yourself.
Yeah.
Like I think it's easy to like read when someone is not comfortable. And sometimes in my previous relationship, it's like that person definitely, I asked him to be more comfortable with me, but he refused. Like, and so that's like, it's like, okay, if you don't want to like,
if you're not being yourself around me, then like
why are we together?
Yeah.
I'm like, deal's broken.
I feel like that's also a red flag when they're just not honest with you. They're not being their honest self.
I think there's kind of crossover between deal breakers and red flags.
Oh, I feel like red flags is like when you're dating.
Oh,
like the deal breaker is being flown.
Yeah.
But then when you're in a relationship, it's like, no, the deal is over.
Okay, so
get out of my house.
Why are you in my house? So, whether it's a red flag or deal breaker, what do you stay away from?
I feel like I stay away from people who are gonna limit me. Same, like people that hold me back. I'm like, no, this is where it ends. I don't know if any other deal breaks. I think when it happens, like, we're breaking the deal.
I know what you mean. It's like you kind of have to find out, like you said.
Yeah, you kind of have to find out.
Which sucks because it's like, you know, it would be nice to be able to prepare for these things and know about these things. But I think a testament to the relationship would show if you face a potential breaking of the deal, will you endure it as a couple? Or will you just give up?
Break the deal? That's a very interesting question.
Because romantic relationships, I've learned, are very like elastic. Like they can really stretch in a good way. It's like, oh, we can learn as individuals to be not to be compatible with each other. Like in some parts you might be incompatible, but just like to be able to live and work around that and embrace that.
Yeah. And I think that's part of the relationship. You're just gonna have to like, if there's deals that are going to be broken, then you learn how to patch them up and you learn how to move forward. And that's like, honestly, like if this person can like do that with me, then that's a deal maker.
Oh, deal maker. I hope you pressed the right button. Oh,
no, you didn't. But also like, they can be a really good person. Like you're compatible, you get along right. But if they don't know how to like, if there's like moments where it's like, we can't seal this deal. It's like, you're a really good person and I like being with you, but deals aren't going to be made, and that's a deal breaker. Yeah.
And that's honestly, every time I witness that, like, I mean, I've watched a lot of reality TV, and
90 Day Fiance.
90 Day Fiance. What's the Ultimatum?
Oh,
yeah, that one's interesting because the Ultimatum on Netflix is literally like you. There's a deal.
There's an ultimatum.
There's an ultimatum, and there's a deal happening, and you either break it or it's so dramatic, but they learn a lot about like what their deal breakers are. Like for example, in one episode, the couple, one of the one person in the relationship was like, I need to have my dog here. My dog is my baby. If you don't like my dog,
then that's a deal breaker.
Yeah. So like things like that, like values that you hold close to yourself. If you're not willing to accommodate my values and live with my values, then get out.
Then the deal is broken.
Yeah.
Also, I think I forgot what I was going to say. Yeah.
Okay. I'll maybe think of other. I'll think of red. Can we like include red flags here?
Yeah, let's do red flags.
See, every time people are like, "What are your red flags?" I'm like, I don't know. Like, okay, maybe we should simulate a date.
Okay.
Oh God, we're gonna discover red flags. Hi.
Hi.
I love Olive Garden. What about you?
Oh, that's great. That's not a red flag.
Not a red flag?
See, I think a red flag is if they don't like Sprite. Honestly, what the hell? What are you doing? If you
like the person who thinks that's a red flag.
Yeah, if those are your little red flags, you're never gonna find anyone. My red flags is someone who doesn't drink water. Like, honey, no.
Wait.
This isn't gonna work out.
Yeah, those are silly red flags, and I think people are being serious though.
Sometimes they are.
It's like, oh, you don't like Disneyland? Get a
red flag. That's a deal breaker.
Yeah.
My deal breaker is if people don't understand the humor of pop star never stopping. Exactly.
Pop star never stopping.
Andy Samberg. It's the Lonely Island movie.
Got it.
Yeah.
There's a movie?
The Lonely Island.
I love The Lonely Island, but I did not know there was a movie.
They made movies.
Oh. I only know their music videos.
Also, I heard they're like, girls are like, I want a guy who has a sense of humor. Like, they just want someone who they can be mean to and can accept it. That's something that I heard.
I like that, actually. Yeah, I like someone who can take a
joke.
A joke.
No. Yeah, like,
I mean, not
someone
like
who
jokes
has
at
a
each
sense
other.
of humor
Yeah.
is like someone who like can laugh at the fact that like things are just gonna like be funny. Like, yeah.
I was gonna ask, like, what are your
someone who has a sense of humor is like my green flag. Someone who has a sense of humor, meaning that like they're not gonna take themselves so seriously.
Yeah, like they're just as much of a clown as
everyone else is.
Yeah, I mean, we all have that like inner like self that's very not serious and very like reckless in a way as far as humor goes. So yeah, like
my red flag is people who are like, I want a guy who has blue eyes.
That is actually kind of insane. I mean, I get like preferences, but
blue eyes are scary. Have you ever looked at blue eyes?
I never looked directly. I think because I'm scared.
They're scary.
Yeah.
Colored eye. People are like, I want colored eyes. If someone has colored eyes, I'm like, no, that's a red flag for me.
If your eyes aren't red, orange, yellow, green, blue, purple, then I don't want
red
it.
Red flag. It's a deal breaker.
Oh, did we talk about deal breakers that get a pass?
Let's talk about deal breakers that get a pass.
Yeah. I guess these are like not non-negotiables. Like, I'll negotiate.
See, like someone, a deal breaker is someone who, deal breaker is someone who holds me back. That's not gonna get a pass. Like
if
you need to let me do what I need to do, and that's set.
Yeah, it's like holding a bird and not letting it like fly. I mean, the bird will come back, of course, but you have to let it fly.
But even like, I really like this person, and I feel like we can do something to where this deal breaker can get a pass. It's like no, like I really like you, but no. I don't know if that was intellectual. It
was borderline intellectual. I mean, I agree. It's like I need someone to not like hold on to me.
Pretty eyes are gonna be like, oh, this deal breaker, yeah, I can get a pass. No.
For me, what does get a pass? I mean, first you have to define like the deal breaker. I guess what does get a pass is like if they're like mentally broken. I mean, it depends.
I can fix them.
Yeah, and I'm not gonna go into that relationship with like, oh, I'm going to fix you, but I love that you're also broken and that I'm a little broken, and that might be a deal breaker for some people. It's like, oh, if you don't have your mental health together, then I don't want to be with you. I do know people that are like that. But I am not like that. It's like I have
a deal breaker.
Okay.
Disheveled or unclean appearance is a deal breaker.
Got it. So if they're like just messy and smelly and that's valid. It's not. It doesn't get a pass at all.
It doesn't get a pass? Even if you really like this person, no. You have chemistry with them.
No, because I mean, I think on first dates you do a lot of judging, and I think if I was going through a first date and they were just not clean or like at the very basic, like you don't have to have your hair all cut and nice, but it's like at least like be cool, like
because if you're going on a first date like this, then what else are you gonna go to like this?
Yes. It's like,
and it's like I can't have this person around
because I think the way you present yourself in a first date
says a lot.
It says a lot. It's like a job interview. I mean, dates are basically like job interviews, and you can apply these deal breakers to job interviews too.
Deal breaker, they're lazy.
Oh man, now that you're bringing these up, it's like I don't like when they're lazy. It's like if you're not going to do anything, unless you're being lazy with me, but if you're just in general lazy.
In general, they're lazy, and that's my deal breaker.
Yes, and
I'm putting these in a sentence.
Now that I'm thinking about it, once you start like imagining these deal breakers in a relationship that you move forward with, it's like that relationship
It's going nowhere.
Yeah, it's going nowhere and it's going downhill.
You're going nowhere. You're being lazy and I'm not going to settle with this. That's getting me like flashbacks. Flashbacks.
Some deal breakers that get a pass for me is that if you live with your parents, it's like, that's totally fine. But I know for some people, I've heard, it's like,
that's my deal breaker.
Yeah, I'm like, okay. What? It's like, that's just
can you buy a house?
Yeah, buy a house then.
Too needy.
Ooh, that's a good one. See, now you're just starting to name things in people that I don't like.
I think it depends on if they're the most attractive person ever. If they check all your boxes, but they're too needy,
they're like,
will you give it a pass?
I definitely maybe start the relationship and like try it, and then I won't feel bad if
I leave.
Yeah.
Okay. Watches too much TV or video games.
You're kind of describing like a person now. Like
I am. Yeah. Let's get a good one. Talks too much. Oh wait, what were we gonna say?
What about if they want kids or not?
Oh,
is that a deal breaker?
Of course. It's like I think I've seen it on TV where they're like, I'm not going to break this deal. Like, I want to have kids. So the relationship, it's going to be over soon. But some people are like, okay, like, I really like you. I really want a life with you. I'm willing to just disintegrate this deal breaker.
Yeah. So it can be kind of a negotiable in some instances.
Yeah.
Like for me personally, I think me and my partner have thought about kids and we've had this discussion, but we definitely don't want kids now. So it's just kind of like the up in the air thing. It's like, it'd be
but
cool,
also like you're not gonna, like, let's say you really want kids and it's like, oh, well, he was willing to think about it. You're not gonna waste all those your baby making years on him. And like, you're like, wait, I really wanted kids.
True.
But my time is over and now I have to settle with this.
Yeah. Yeah. So I think that's where you have to get all your eggs, no pun intended.
Oh, one of them.
All your eggs lined up.
Does not want kids. Talks too much is a deal breaker.
No. I mean, for me, it depends. What are you talking too much about? If it's something that I really don't care for, or I really don't like, if you're just talking, if you're taking too much airtime in our conversation, I don't know. You can kind of, this depends on like the personality. Like they can be a very interesting person and I can be really into it. And like you can talk to me for hours if you have the charm and the wit.
I knew someone who just like talks too much, but they were talking too much game. Like they're all bark, no bite.
Yeah.
And it's like, it gets to a point, it's like, well, what, like, I don't want to be around this. Like,
yeah. you have to imagine that like you will be around that person
forever
and for a very long time and at all times. And
but like he talked too much game, and then nobody liked him.
See, that's like arrogance.
I think it comes with arrogance, talking too much.
Or like compensating for something.
That too.
Yes, or like showing off a lot, or like compensating for something. I think that's also a red flag. Too much.
Oh, yeah. I think it's a red flag when they talk too much. It's like something's happening, something sketchy here.
Yeah, it's like, where are the cameras?
What would you do? Opposite of that, they're too quiet.
I don't like that. I don't like that at all. Like when people are too mysterious, and it's like, are you gonna say something?
I think it's when they're also too quiet. It's like, I can't be with this person. Like this isn't gonna go anywhere just because they're not talking.
And it's hard because I need someone who is like, you can be like shy and quiet, but like if you refuse to like
constantly
yes,
behind closed doors too, because behind closed, like someone's shy, they don't want to talk to people, but then when they're at home with their close friends, they're like a different person.
Yeah,
but no,
imagine just like you go back to your home with like your partner.
I'm shy at home.
And they just don't talk to you. It's like you're constantly wondering like, what's going on?
What the hell?
Yeah.
They're too blunt.
Again, this depends. I mean, for me,
why are you saying it depends?
Because I think some people like when people are blunt to them.
But you.
For me.
Let's talk about you.
Okay, sorry. For me, I'm very fragile and my ego is very big, so
I don't want like this is a deal breaker.
Yeah, I mean, I appreciate honesty, but if you're so blunt where it's like unsolicited bluntness, then maybe not. That's not something I'm very compatible with.
I think it'd be a deal breaker for me. It's like, why are you like, thanks, but I wasn't asking.
Yes, and also it's like, have you been thinking these things the whole time? Or like, do you just hate me? Or like, what else do you not like? So
yeah,
these are good deal breakers. Yeah.
Would any of them get a pass in your book?
I wouldn't say they get a pass, but I would say I am flexible with it. Like the kids thing.
Like I'd be flexible if they talk too much, is what you're saying?
I didn't say that one specifically. Again, like it totally depends on the person. This is something like you pointed out in the beginning that you have to learn through every single date, every single time that you're with that person. And even with my partner, it's like we're still every now and then learning new things that like, we disagree on this, and maybe this turns into like, is this a deal breaker? But it never gets to the point where it's like, this is gonna break a deal. Like it's always like that time of trying to figure out like, how do we work through this? So a lot of these deal breakers are definitely like useful in dating.
I'm also looking at it like a list, and like they check all your boxes, but they don't check one. And it's like, you know what? They're checking all my boxes, but just not this one. I'll give it a pass. But if you're like, okay, check. Oh, not that.
There's a lot of empty boxes.
Check. Yeah. Then just leave. Break the deal.
I like that. I like your analogy here. If he checks all the boxes,
but just not one, it's okay. Yeah.
Yeah, if he checks none of those boxes, leave right away.
Yeah, but then people are like, no, but he checked those ones. No. He checked the ones that mattered the most.
No, he didn't. No, shut up. Here.
But what if it's true?
Then as long as they're happy.
Those are people that settle.
And not like settle into a home, but like settle like for that person. Yeah,
and you're 40 years into the relationship being like, damn, they didn't check that box and I brushed over it and I'm trapped. I'm trapped.
It's just sometimes in the new relationship, and especially in the dating sphere, it's like you don't know exactly
what you're going to get.
Yeah, you don't know your boxes yet. And like I said earlier, it's like people are very unique.
Yeah.
And they come
like nowadays, I don't know what any of my boxes are.
And that's fine.
As I'm meeting people, I'm like, oh, you know what? I think I want this as the box. So I'm going to put it in.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And maybe for one person.
And then you meet people and you're like, I really like this person, but I don't know if they're a good person.
That's something that maybe you should try second date with, but I don't know. It depends on how you want to spend your time.
But they're really cute. But then, wait, I don't know this person actually. But people just base it off of looks.
Yeah, I mean, honestly, someone can be really, really cute, but also
you
like
really, really like them.
Yeah, but then their personality just.
And then you realize, oh, they're full of red flags and deal breakers.
Yeah.
All right. Now that we talked about relationships, let's talk about friendships,
which is also a form of a relationship.
Do you have any friendship red flags? You said someone that holds you back is a relationship.
Does that apply to friendships?
Does that also apply to friendships?
You know, surprisingly, no. I think in friendships, I would like someone to maybe hold me accountable and hold me back sometimes, because it's like, funny. Yeah, it's different because it's like in a romantic relationship, it's like I'm seeing a lot of growth. Like I want you to come with
me.
Yes.
Whereas a friendship, it's like I want you to keep me in check.
Yes, because I think like friends, like admittedly, friends and romantic partners are very different. Yeah. And they provide different experiences. And a lot of them are really good. It's like I have a lot of development with like friends like you and some of my other close friends, where I don't get that same experience with my romantic partner. And that's just because we're on a different level.
Now that you're saying that, do you think that like with friendships, deal breakers, a lot of deal breakers get a pass? It's easy just to give them a pass. Like someone who's disheveled, but they're really good friend. It's like, you know what? Go for it. Look as nasty as you want. You're a really good friend and I love having you around.
Honestly, yeah. I've had some smelly friends and they're really honestly, this is not shade. This is not shade. Like honestly, they're the nicest people. You smell bad,
but like you're the nicest person ever.
Yeah, like I wouldn't date you because we're friends, first of all. But also, what do you think about friends turning into romantic partners?
We're really gonna talk about that? You know what? Fine, I'll talk about it. Okay. I think it's really good. I think it sets a foundation of like, it sets a really good foundation that, okay, we know each other really well. We know how to communicate really well, because with the friendship, you keep them in check. You're like, that shirt is really ugly. Like you're wasting too much money.
Yeah.
And you're like, okay, this person tells it like it is. This person can like truthfully just say things out loud. And then over time, let's say you're just like clicking and you're like, I want to spend, I don't know if it, you know what? Yeah, all that. But what if you're opposite? Because that works with like a boy and a girl, a gay boy and a gay boy.
Yeah.
But it's like a gay boy.
What about it?
Girl. It's like, oh, we're going to get married? I don't want to marry you.
No. Yeah, I mean, I don't want to marry you. Yeah. Sorry. But so like I wouldn't propose.
If you're opposite gender and the dots connect.
Oh, okay. I see what you mean. I see. Okay. I can give some insight here because I am a gay boy.
Okay.
I mean,
like you meet another gay boy.
Yeah, and we're friends, and then we end up like wanting to like date.
But dating isn't something that you want. Dating is just something that happens. No?
Ooh, that's a nice spice of wisdom there. Like, we want to get married, is what you're saying?
Yeah. It's like, oh, I want this, so give me it.
Okay, see, for me, it just happens. For me, it's a little problematic because... Yeah, it's because a lot of, in the gay community, a lot of the dating, a lot of friendships are made out of, like, hookups. Like, as, not as sad as it is, but, like, as... You know,
we hook up and then we're besties.
Yeah. And then like, oh, for me, it's like, I care a lot about the context of like, oh, I want to marry this person, but it's like the way we met, I don't know. It's like, sometimes I feel like it should, like a lot of friendships should stay.
So would it be a deal breaker being like, oh, the way it started is kind of sketchy?
Sometimes. And I know it sounds like unreasonable or like it shouldn't matter, but for me it does matter. It's like how did we meet? Like what was the origin story of this? And I think if I truly loved that person, then I would forget about it. But I think in the context of friendship, there's a lot of thinking to be had, of like, oh, you know, I've lived this. I know this person as this, you know, how will they act to me in a romantic way? But, you know, go for those couple, like, celebrate those. I'm celebrating for those couples that do end up from friendship into, I mean, I know
hookup to friendship,
friendship to marriage.
Go for it, girl.
Do you set like boundaries in your friendships?
Yes. Well, now I do, just because like when you have friendships where you didn't set a boundary, and then you're like, damn, this friendship is kind of like messed up. And then with new friendships, you meet people and you're like, oh, I want to be like, let's be friends. And then you set boundaries being like, hey, like I actually don't think it's like, I don't respect the fact that you did this, blah, blah, blah. And I think you need to speak up for yourself. Yeah, with your friendships, because if not, then where's the respect and where's the friendship? Yeah.
And I've done that with you. It's like, I think it's healthy.
Yeah, it's very healthy.
Okay, yeah. Yeah. Yeah, because otherwise it's like, if you don't communicate, I feel like, and I've learned this.
If you're just sitting there and taking punches, then what, like, no.
In some ways, it's almost like romantic relationships where you have to, like, communicate. And, I mean, I learned a lot from my younger self and my younger friendships. Like, it was like war. It was like it was mayhem. It was chaotic at its finest. You know, learning about how people will treat you. You know, figuring out
this is unfair.
And sitting in it. And not saying anything. I mean, that's something that I did a lot.
Yeah, don't do that. And as you grow up, you realize like boundaries are necessary. Yeah. Speaking up for yourself is necessary.
Yeah. And I think it's easy to preach setting up boundaries, but also it's hard at first. Setting boundaries. Even with like...
Just because like when you're in a friendship, it's like, oh, I don't want to like ruin this friendship by saying like, I don't like going out or I don't know.
Yeah. I mean, I enjoy friendships because I feel like it's a little more flexible. Like not flexible in that, you know, you can just come and go, but it's like, oh, there's a lot of like wiggle room. Like we're messing around. It's like, oh, this is very, you know, casual. Like we're
not getting married.
Yeah. Like guys, we're not getting married, but we're going to Raising Cane's. I'm like, hell yeah, down.
Let's go.
Yeah. It's just doing stupid things. Yeah. That's what I love.
Well, can you give an example of a boundary and what made you come up with it? For me, I would start. So a boundary that I have is someone who just feels so entitled to my time. And what made me come up with it is someone who just like would come to my house and be like, we're going over here. We're going over here. It's like, can you like chill? Like, you didn't even ask me first. So like,
it's like they own you.
Yeah, they're basically own me. They basically think they're my owner. So what made me set it up is like, I don't think this is a good person, first of all, for them to just be so entitled and think that they can just control me and tell me what to do.
So in the process of making that boundary, have you, or these boundaries in general, have you like lost friendships?
Yeah. I lost that person first, and then,
Wow. I mean, that's a very reasonable boundary.
And I think it's like, when you set boundaries, you realize like, oh, people were just, these are the people that are just taking advantage of you.
Yeah, you find the real ones.
The real ones who are going to be like, oh, you're, like, I know you have your own life. I'm going to ask you if you want to do this.
A very basic boundary for me in a friendship is like being honest. Like, I think this is a boundary. It's like just saying things like I don't saying what you want and what you don't want. It's like I think that's a boundary because it's like if I'm invited out to something and like, or if I invite someone else to something and they in their head it's like, oh, they don't really want to go, and then they're not actually down. If you're not actually down, just tell me. Like that's a boundary that I want to set. And same thing with me. It's like if I'm not comfortable or if I don't feel it, like I will set that boundary.
Yeah.
I mean, it's a similar along the lines of like what you said of like, oh, I'm not going to get dragged around everywhere.
Yeah. Also, like, I think there's also like people who like shame you when you don't want to do something.
And, I've experienced that.
Yeah. And that's not like when you communicate, it's like, oh, I don't want to do this. And they're like, you suck. Like, you're like, why don't you want to do that? Like, blah, 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 blah.
Oh.
And it's like, you know what? I'm putting this boundary up of like communicating how I'm feeling, and the fact that you're not respecting it, get the hell out.
Yeah.
Get out of my house.
Yeah. Get out of my house. Get out of my car. You're walking home.
Exactly.
Another boundary is, I guess, like money. I mean, I think it's important. Like, it's easy for me to like go like all out with like friends because it's like, oh, you know, we're having fun. It's like I want to have a good time. But I think especially as of recently, like going into our 20s and realizing that, oh my God, like
I think people who sorry.
No, go ahead.
People who just like are throwing away money. Yeah.
It's like
and
you know,
you're like putting this boundary up of being like, hey, I got things to pay, and they're like, no, we're gonna do this.
Yeah.
Get your wallet out.
And those same people might shame you also for not like being willing to like
waste money on this.
Yeah, you don't want to drop all this money on this stupid little thing. I mean, if you want to go do it.
But don't drag me along.
Yeah, and I think friendships can exist like that if you still communicate like, oh, I don't want to do this, and they're okay with it. But sometimes that is also a deal breaker for me because some friends like expect me to just go all out, and I'm just like, I'm sorry, I can't. Like, and what made me come up with that boundary with like being honest with like, oh, I can't afford it, or I think that's too pricey, or maybe we should do something else, is like I've not gone broke, but it's like I've gone kind of broke.
Yeah.
Like trying to, you know,
keep up with you.
yeah, like spending time with friends. Sometimes it has been like costly for me, and sometimes I have questioned like, was this worth it? And I think that's kind of the worst type of remorse. It's like, oh, you lost money and you feel bad. But I also like to be very flexible and like very free flowing.
Yeah.
So
and go with the flow.
Yeah. For you, was it ever like difficult to set these boundaries, like in your friendships particularly?
I think so, just because like it's kind of hard to put that up just because you're like, wait, if I speak up, I'm gonna lose this friend. And you need to come to terms. It's like, wait, do I want to lose this friend? Like, you just need to like have this internal conversation of being like, is it worth it putting up this boundary and telling them how I feel? Yes, it is worth it. So put it up, and come to terms with the fact that you're gonna lose this person.
Yeah. I think in friendships, boundaries are like walls that you put up at first, but like the friend can either like deal with it, or you can both work to like, okay, I can put the boundary down a little and allow for that room.
Can I give them a pass? No.
See, it's like romantic relationships.
Yeah. And I think it's also like difficult because it's like, I don't want to speak up and like inconvenience them, and like, what am I doing? Like, am I overreacting?
Yeah. I still have a lot of trauma from my friendships in high school because I felt like there was a lot of judgment like going on.
Yeah,
in the
like
background.
You're gonna get judged if you say this, and then they're like, you're being dumb, and then you just continue on.
Yeah. It's like we just roll with the punches.
Yeah.
I roll with a lot of punches. But now it's like I have a lot of confidence and security in that, not just in myself, but in my friendships, that like, oh, they'll be able to handle like, you know, what I have to say.
Yeah. And I think it's also like when you set these boundaries, it's like people are going to say something and people are going to make you out to be the bad person. And I think that's also like a difficult thing, at least with my experience. It's like, I know I'm going to be painted as the villain. I don't want to be painted as a villain. That's why I'm not going to set it. But you also need to come to terms with like, yeah, the story is going to be spun this way. So I'm just going to do it. I'm just going to accept the consequences that come. Yeah.
And unfortunately, I have also experienced that where, I just know like they're not there. I'm going to be the bad person.
Yeah.
Or I'm going to be the one who they're talking behind the back.
And that's why I'm like, I'm not going to put it like, this is difficult, too difficult to do. So I'm not going to do it.
Yeah. And those are like those friendships where it's like, you know, I'm grateful that it ended.
Yeah.
It's like, I learned a lot about myself, a lot about them, but you know,
like it's worth it. It's worth doing that because they're out of your life and you can just freely live.
I think you said this in one of our in first season that still stuck with me. It's like better to be
it's better to be alone than with bad company.
Yes. Yeah.
Misery loves company, but I'm not gonna be in here.
Misery loves company. Yeah, bad people really do love being with bad people. But,
yes.
Yeah, but baddies?
Oh, a deal breaker for me? Okay, baddies. We're going to hold on. A deal breaker for me is when they just like talk so negatively on the whole world.
Negatively?
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's like,
they're pessimists.
Why? Yeah, no, not what's pessimist?
Like a person who like talk like just very negative thinking.
Not negative thinking, but they think negatively of everyone and they think highly of themselves. They're like, gosh. Oh my god, did you see what they were wearing? Oh my god, they're so dumb for doing that.
Just hearing that, it's like tiring.
Cheeseman. Yes. I don't know if that translated to you, but yeah, they're just like gossiping. It's like, you know what? Why are you doing it? You have I think you waste more brain cells by being negative to someone than being positive to someone. Like it's so hard to hate someone.
Yeah. I mean, like for us, like I think I reflect on us, like we have Cheesemate, but I don't think it's like all we talk about.
No, and it's all fun and games.
Yes, but when people are like, that's like their lifestyle, and that's like their character.
Every single day, every single time you come up to them, they have something bad to say about X, Y, and Z.
Oh gosh, it's like the first thing that comes out of their mouth is like a criticism. It's like you can't. I don't know.
Yeah, that's a deal breaker for me in a friendship and in a relationship.
Yeah. If you have nothing nice to say,
don't say anything at all. And I mean it.
Unless it's a boundary and you want to set it up.
Yeah.
I welcome that. Wow, this is a healthy conversation.
Yeah. I don't know how I think the boundary that I put up with that, of being like, I don't want to be involved in this, is just leaving. I'm going to put the wall up by just walking out because this isn't going to be a positive development for my brain.
Yeah, and that's healthy. Yeah. That is setting up a boundary in and of itself.
Walking away can be healthy sometimes. Yeah. I've said it before that I just ghost people, but honestly, I don't want to waste any more breath on these people.
I agree. And if you feel like that, like the pros outweigh the cons, then I say put your mental health first.
And ghost them.
And I'm sure like if you take that decision to ghost someone, I'm sure it's a very calculated decision, you know?
And also like in my experience, at least, it's like, I know that if I say something, it's going to be reactive to it negatively. Like they're going to be like, you're stupid, blah, 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 blah. So I'm not going to waste my breath and I'm just going to ghost.
Yeah. Why waste another ounce of your time?
Yeah.
When you know it's like going to end anyways.
Yeah. So just ghost them.
Yeah.
I advocate ghosting. That's all I'm saying.
I do have several friends where I don't ghost them, but it's like we have like an on time and then like we like hang out for one day.
It's also
and then,
healthy when people understand like, oh, like I know you're gonna ghost me and like, oh, it's fine.
Yeah.
Like, yeah.
And that's
like,
what
I know you disappeared for a bit, but like it's good.
Yeah.
I get where you're coming from.
And that's what I kind of embrace about social media. It's like, oh, I can hang out with this person and then I can still like follow them and like, you know, see what they're up to. And like we're kind of on our own paths, but we like to link up every now and then.
Yeah. Every now and then we heart each other's stories.
Aww. Why is that like so many? of my friendship.
Like, we're not friends, but we like each other's stories.
Yeah. Like, I know you.
Yeah, cool.
If I saw you on the street, I'd say, hey.
Yeah, they're not my friend. No, yeah, you were my friend.
Like, oh, me and him. Oh, yeah, we're friends. We're friends.
But, yeah. With that, we're going to ghost you for a bit. And this is our last episode.
We're ghosting y'all, and we're telling you we're going to ghost y'all. So we're not really ghosting. We're setting a boundary.
Well, we're going to ghost them because we're not going to check in.
Yeah, y'all don't.
Until who knows when.
Yeah, so be sure to follow us.
Yeah.
And still subscribe. And if you haven't listened to our earlier episodes, I definitely encourage it because this season had a lot of good stuff. Like, there were 20 episodes.
20 episodes.
A lot of good stuff, actually, now that I think about it. A lot of this isn't even... A lot of it was freestyle. But... Yeah. Also, there's our first season, which if you want to see how that went, we did a lot of on-location scenes, so that's kind of fun.
Yeah, this is... I don't know.
Yeah.
Maybe we'll do more. Maybe we won't.
Yeah.
Maybe next season it's a lot of life-changing things.
Yeah, maybe we should just wait for shit to happen and then
start.
Yeah, so that we have more like fun things.
Yeah,
like more real things.
We don't know,
but for now,
this season also just started on a whim. Like, we were like, let's do it.
Yeah.
And also I like the fact that last season was just 2020. Well, 2022. Mm-hmm. That was just it.
And this is just 2023.
This is 2023.
Yeah.
Next season will be 2024.
Question mark? Honestly, yeah, I would like to. But yeah, I agree with you.
Each season encompasses a year in our lives.
Oh, I love that. Mm-hmm. And I think every year shit happens.
Yeah.
So we'll see you when we wake up.
Yeah. Well, we're going to go hibernate. Mm-hmm. Don't do that.
Okay.
Okay. We'll see you later.
See you later.
That's season 2.